Hi, I thought I'd better do a video explaining the 3G switch off which is happening on our network, O2. As you know, or in case you don't know, the 3G switch off is happening, so it is absolutely nothing to worry about. So I'm gonna explain this as well. So if you have got grandparents or if you've got anybody that is elderly or uses an old mobile, it won't well it won't support 3G much longer as the mobile network, the O2 network is the last to turn off 3G in the UK. Obviously, I want to explain as well if you have an older device. So if you have an older device, so like if you have an old Nokia or any kind of old phone, it won't work. Well, it will work, my apologies, but you won't be able to use your mobile internet, but calls and texts will still work. Let me just point that out. So 2G will still work, but 3G for call, but your so think of it like this. So it'll be so after 3G goes, it'll be so after 3G gets turned off on O2, um it will just be 2G 2G you'll be using, but you can get mobiles on 4G and 5G. Most of them are. So let me just quickly go through, and I'm also going to teach you in a minute how to use two things which you can use. I can explain this as well because I use this quite regularly. You can get phones that enable something called 4G calling, otherwise known as VoLTE. So this means you would be able to make calls over the full 4G network. So you'll be able to make phone calls over 4G, and you'll be able to send texts as normal. And when you're on the phone with somebody as well, instead of it going over to 3G, it would just stay on 4G as well. And the good thing is you'll be able to use your mobile in your 4G data, mobile data, whilst on the phone. Whilst on the phone, so if you're on the phone to somebody. So, and also let me just explain to you another thing as well. You won't be able to use mobile data. So if you use WhatsApp, Facebook, and Google, it won't be accessible when your phone is not connected to the Wi-Fi. So, but calls and texts will still work. So, and O2 have really helpful resources. Obviously, if you go on to o2.co.uk, you will be able to find the resources on here on o2.co.uk. Sorry, my apologies. So you'll be able to find phones on there that are 4G and 5G compatible as well. And the reason why they're doing this 4G and 5G, while they're doing the 3G switch off, is to boost 4G and 5G across the UK. So, and also, if you're on one of the MVNOs that use the O2 network, like giffgaff, Sky and Tesco Mobile, you'll be affected on all three networks, on all three networks. um, Tesco Mobile, GiftGaff, and Sky, which use the O2 network. So, and there's helpful resources as well that you can find as well. O2's access for all, and it gives you helpful advice as well, and it's basically really good as well. And now I'm gonna basically show you what Wi-Fi calling is, and let me explain to you what Wi-Fi calling is. You'll be able to make calls using your Wi-Fi connection. So if you have bad mobile coverage, like bad mobile signal like I do, you can either use Wi-Fi calling as well, or it just kicks off if the signal goes down. So if you have terrible signal like I do, Wi-Fi calling helps you make phone calls and send texts using your Wi-Fi calling. So it's through the mobile, but it's through your Wi-Fi. So you'll be able to use Wi-Fi calling if you have bad mobile coverage with that. So I'm going to teach you how to enable it now. So disable it and enable it at the same time. So if you have but your settings might be different to mine, so do bear that in mind what I'm about to teach you now. So bear with me a moment. Let me just get my settings ready. So you can either do it two ways. So let me teach you the first one. So if you swipe down, and then you should scroll down, and you should see a thing known as Wi-Fi calling. And then if you go on to click Wi-Fi calling here, then you can enable it. Then you can either do it this way, and then to disable it you tap to enable it. You go to press it again, because when it's on it'll go white. It'll go white. And then you should see a little symbol, across next to before the Wi-Fi icon, and then you should see the Wi-Fi calling symbol. So it looks like, think of it, so there's a phone icon and there's a Wi-Fi icon. So if you have a Samsung like I do, a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, that's the phone I have, so that's the little icon it'll show. And then there's another thing that as well that is on here, so you can enable it as well on it if you have a Samsung as well. So if you have a Samsung, again, you can either do it this way as well. So there should be a thing known as Wi-Fi calling. So let me just do it again. And then you should see the symbol here. And here it is from there. So, and then another thing as well with VoLTE, to enable that, you should see a thing called VoLTE Call Sim 1, and it uses the 4G data network for, VoLTE and Wi-Fi calling. So if you turn this off, it'll go to 3G. It'll switch to the 3G network when you make a call, but I'm going to turn it back on because mine is a 4G, mine is a 5G, 4G and 5G phone, so mine is back on now. So hopefully this helps. So your settings might be different to mine, so do bear that in mind with that. So it's just a little explain on how to do it as well. And you know, if you have a look at the compatibility list as well, on giffgaff, it should give you which phones are compatible with Wi-Fi calling, and stuff like that, and VoLTE, so you'll have an idea as well if you look at the compatibility list, and it'll work on any SIM on giffgaff as well, as long as you have a 4G and 5G phones to help. So, you know, let me just have a look at that quickly. There we go. Let me just have a look at that quickly for you. So, if you go on to giffgaff.com, and you should see this page here. What am I doing? My apologies. As well. So let me just get that sorted for you. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for, the first one at the top, and it should say what phone's compatible and what you know. But if your phone is not compatible as well, you might have to get another device as well. So you might have to get a new device, as long as it supports 4G calling and Wi-Fi calling, so that, you know, I know my phone is on here, my Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, but mine would come under has S24 family, so you can get any one of those phones. I mean, you know, there's so many of them on here, so that's how you can, that is how you'll be able to find what phone you would want. Before, I suggest you look first if that phone is on that list for you to be able to get it. So, and that's just a short video of how to do it all, and how to put Wi-Fi calling and obviously 4G calling on, and to explain about the 3G switch off, and I'll see you soon.